Hello and welcome to COP 4708. In the last session, we started with Chapter 7, writing SQL code for constructing a database. And actually, we went through some of the code for the Viewridge Gallery, which is a small company, small business that has one manager or one owner and three salesperson, two workers. They sell art, usually contemporary European and North American fine art. They've been in business for the past 30 years. They have the information scattered. We did for them model, design, and now we are converting that design into code. And we started writing a code for the first table, which is the artist table. Now, what we're going to do in this session, since we installed Oracle already and we have Oracle, we are going to create the database in Oracle. So I'm going to take that code that I just created, or that we created in Chapter 7, and implement it in Oracle. And that will be actually part of Chapter 10, the supplement of Chapter 10 in the book, where we are going to address just the implementation in Oracle. To do that, I will start the software. So I'll start Oracle, and you can do that by going to Start, All Programs, then Oracle Database 10G Express Edition, the one that you installed, and then go to Database homepage. Now remember that we did set up the Internet Explorer to be able to access the website like this. Once I'm in the main page, remember the username is sys or system, and the password, for me, I put it the course number. Once I'm in the main page, I can go to the SQL and SQL commands screen. And we can start actually writing the code. So we'll write create table artist, open brackets, artist ID, and that's the first column. I want it to be number with only one decimal and one decimal. And we know what does the 1 and 1 mean from the last lecture. Then we add the condition or the constraint of not null. So you can write the code like this, and to save the time, what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy paste the code from the slide that we have. And now I will save and save it as artist table code, which will help me later on in into coming back into that code and debugging if I want to use it for creating another table, or use it for any other information, or know exactly why do I have an error message at a certain point. So this is good to track. I will have a history of tracking, which will be actually including all the tables, all the views, anything that's been created in that history. Once I save, you can see that it's been saved here, and then I will click run, and it will tell me that table has been created. Now we are going to create the second table, which is called work, and again, just to save time, I will copy paste from the slide the code, the SQL code that we created. I will save that one as work table, save, and then run code, and the table has been created successfully. Now notice in this table I did use the artist ID from the first table as a foreign key in this table, and I referenced the that table, and this is the connection, the relationship that I just created between the two tables, which is the artist table and the work table. Now we can alter the statement, and we'll add a constraint. So let's add the constraints that we want. And in this case, I'm adding a constraint for the nationality value to be checked in Canadian, English, French, German, Mexican, Russian, Spanish, and US. So if it was not one of these nationalities, then it will give me an error message, and that will be added to the artist table. So I will save, and I will say constraint check number one, check one code. And then I will save and run, and table has been altered. That means the constraint has been added to that table. So far, it's giving me information that the table has been created, the table has been altered, but we did not see those tables. I will go and show you the tables, how it's been created, and look at the columns actually for each table, and you will see that it has been created. I will add another also constraint to check the birth value to make sure that birth date is less than deceased date. Then I will save it as check number 2, and I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for the naming, so I will follow up with what kind of constraints did I add, what kind of tables did I add. All that will be in the history. I will save it, then I will run, and table has been altered. That means already that constraint has been added to that table. One other constraint that we did for the artist table was to alter the constraint, or add the constraint that the birth date and death year, both of them is reading 1000, 1999, or 2000, at the most 1 and 2 for the first digit, and from 0 to 9 for the second, third, and fourth digits. So we'll add that constraint for the birth year, just to make sure that it will not read that he was born in the year 9500 something, because 9000 is not valid, the birth of date. So we want to make sure that we include only the 1 and 2, because the people that we are dealing with were born either the year 1000, and no one was actually born the year 2000, but at least we will have range between 1000 and 2000 years. So I will save, and this is check 3, save, and then run code, and it has been altered. Then I will do the same for deceased date, and I will save as check 4 or constraint 4, save, run, and the table has been altered. We can actually write a code to drop this constraint, but I will write it, but we're not going to implement it. So we can write drop the previous constraint, but I will not do that. I will not do that. Okay, but this is an example on what can be done by adding or deleting. We can actually check on the code after it's been altered or added, but I will check later on. We can add column for artist, and let's name it my column, like we did last time. So we have table artist that we need to add to it my column, which is a character with length of 5 or size of 5, and can be null. Then we save as add column code, save, run, and the column has been added. Now let me show you the work that we just did. If you go home to object browser, browse tables, you will find the artist table being created, which is called artist, and when you view it, you can see those are the column names, and you can see my column being added at the end here. So those are the main columns that were added at the beginning when I created the table, and then I added or altered that column or added that column at the last step that I did. You can also go all the way through these tabs to the SQL code and click on SQL code, and you can see the constraint that I added for nationality, for the birth date, birth value, check, for the valid birth year and the valid death year that I did. So 1, 2, 3, 4 constraints we added to the code, and that is the code that we just added or created a minute ago. The other table that we added was work. So I can go all the way down to work, or instead of that, I'll just type work and it will go to that table. So we have the scroll side button that can scroll down, or you can just in the search type the name of the table and that will take you to the work table. And this is the code that we wrote. It's been added here, and as you can see, the connection between the artist table and the work table through the foreign key. So this is the table that we just created a minute ago. That will be all for this session. If you have any questions, please email it to me. Thank you.